4, 3, 2, and 1. I believe we are live. Micah McCurry live, number 27, with pastor, church planner, legend, just man of mystery, Marty Montgomery. And I appreciate him doing this. We were just talking about putting kiddos to bed and all that different type of stuff.
Yeah.
And so we've got the job done. Yeah. We have done our daddy
well, my wife
duties.
gets the job done.
Okay. So you have delegated like a good
usually
leader.
I help. Yes, he's awesome tonight. And I told the girls I'm speaking to the world tonight, and they just laughed. So,
well, very, very small percentage of the world, probably. It may just be you and me, but that's all right. He was just mentioning I had Pastor Joe Brown on Tuesday. Had a really good talk with him, and anticipating a great talk. And he was being self-deprecating, but Montgomery was, for those that are listening, and saying, thanks for putting me after Pastor Joe Brown. It's all right. I have Jack Hiles tomorrow on Friday. And so really exclusive interview. We'll have a good time with that. But Brother Montgomery, for those that may not have any idea who you are, give us just a really short bio, or as long as you'd like. Tell us who you are, how you came to be.
How I came to be. Well, anyways, no, I won't tell you that story. No, I am, I'm saved by the grace of God. I thank the Lord for my salvation. Grew up in a Christian home. Thank the Lord for that. I am married to a wonderful lady who is putting my girls to bed right now. Her name's Heather, and we've been married 9 years in May. And I have 3 beautiful daughters. They are Kate, Josie, and Bella. And I pastor and planted Capital Baptist Church in Springfield, Illinois. We have been here for about 3.5 years now.
Amen. 3 year, and where was your ministry before Capital Baptist Church?
Oh, sure. I grew up attending Baptist Church in Bourbonnais, Illinois. Pastor Terry Angel. Actually, I've lived in Illinois basically my whole life. Went to Providence Baptist College in Elgin, and was there at that church for 6 years, almost 6 years. My wife and I were married in 2010. I'd already graduated when we started dating. She graduated right after we were married, and then the Lord led us to in September to Foundation Baptist Church in Illinois, now Crystal Lake. Then, of course, you've had Brother Jeremy on here. He taught me everything I know about church planning. No, I mean, I'm being a little sarcastic, but not much. That was one of the best experiences in our lives as far as just ministry and learning and growing. And we were there for about 4 years-ish. And then the Lord just put it on our hearts to put Springfield on our hearts. And then the desire to plant a church here. And one thing led to another. And we raised some support and came and started in 2015, September.
Amen.
And yes, sir.
Very cool.
I was trying. No, I was just trying to think about when we met, you and I think because I know you were at Providence, but I don't remember meeting you until we were on deputation in Akron.
This is a very manly story, because we really got to know each other over soup bowls at Panera.
At Panera, yes.
And so you can judge, but those soup bowls, or whatever they're called.
You guys judge. Those are really good.
They're very expensive as well, but
but delicious and
very good. Yeah.
Broccoli cheddar is my favorite. Yeah.
So. We had a good time with that. That was one of those. I would say that was one of those conversations. I was talking to Joe Brown, and those conversations you have with friends in ministry and things over food and all the, that fellowship.
Yes.
And that was one of those types of things. Now, obviously our wives were there, but we're just having a great fellowship. It didn't feel like there was a time crunch. We were just talking. And so, we had a great time. That was a lot of fun, and appreciate you guys' ministry. And, now 3 years there. You say 3 or 3.5 now?
3.5. So
Very nice.
September will be 4. Yes, sir.
Very nice. Very nice. And you planted the church. Now, talk to us. Jump right into, I guess, the hard questions, and all that. Talk to us about the process of that, and maybe take a step back. How long were you guys on deputation, and what was that process? We'll talk about the Lord's calling to all of that. But how long were you on deputation, and maybe the first days of church planting?
So I remember surrendering or making it official, the decision to go in May of 2014. We began putting video letters. I started making phone calls later that summer. Our first meeting, this is really cool. Our first meeting was September 21st of 2014, and we asked the Lord that we could start in a year, and we set September 20th of the following year as our start date. And I don't know if that's the right way to do it. One thing I can say, I don't know that there probably is. There's better ways.
Sure.
And probably everything that you'll get from me, I could probably give you more mistakes or things that I wish I'd have done differently or better. But if I can go into the thought process, there's okay, let's just go and get a house and start a church start knocking doors and start a church in our home and see what God does. Or there's the church planners that spend 3 or 4 years raising support, which is, we might not have had to spend that much time if we'd have wanted to get fully supported, but we didn't want to. We knew that eventually our support would dwindle because church planners are not usually supported long term.
Right.
And so we, that's why I think the Lord just worked it out. So we spent a year. We were in about 95 churches in a year, probably half of them in Illinois. We were able to get to about probably about 50% of what we need to start, what my family needs, and maybe 60% at the point. And but we were able to save. I was still working. That year. In fact, that year I made more at the trucking company I worked at than any other year I was there, where I switched to nights so I could call preachers and go to meetings during the day. It was the craziest. My wife and I, if you can let me talk about it, my wife and I talk about that as being the craziest year of our life, because we were, I would schedule Wednesday night meetings close enough to where I work, and then get back to work in time to wheels up, drive my truck. About 11 or 11:30, I had to go out at night and, not get back till 8 to 11 in the morning, and then just get some sleep and wake up and start calling preachers and get meetings. It was just, but it was so neat to see God work and all that. Anyways, so then we moved down here in June. June 1st was the day we signed on our house here. That was maybe our biggest time of faith. Biggest step of faith was we wanted to just go ahead and establish roots right away here. Sure. We already owned a house up in, we actually lived in Elgin. And then we own another house up there. I'll get into that. That's on my list. If we get to the failures that I've had in life, one of them is trying to be a landlord, but we also own we own a rental property up there at the time. And so I had already put in my 2 weeks notice in my job, and we were signing on my third house. And I remember signing the papers. I'm like, I'm technically in 12 days, I'm unemployed, and I have 3 mortgages. What in the world, And, and one of our houses was under contract at that time. So we sold that, and it was just, that was our biggest step of faith, I guess. But support was already rolling in. Churches came through in marvelous ways. Then we started. I'm probably talking too long, aren't I?
No, you're fine.
About this subject, but I guess I'll go ahead and carry on with that process. We looked for places to start church, meeting in. storefronts, even like warehouse type buildings. We ended up planning to go to a hotel, starting a hotel, because that was the best thing that we could find. And that is actually a good place for a church planter to start. We were going to, I think we had a contract, $100 a week to have it for the day.
Wow.
For every Sunday. And we actually had a contract for it and everything. But a building that we had looked at that we had said, well, we can only buy it. It's a church. And we said, we can only buy it from you if you finance. If you're the bank, nobody's going to loan us any money. And they said, no, we're going to try to get a regular offer. Well, 2 offers fell through. And so our start date was September 28th. They called. My realtor called August 5th and said, this place is, when you looked at, they had 2 offers fall through and they want to sell it to you and it's called a contract for deed. They did want some money down, which we were able, that was the neat thing too. So we put out a video about needing to get some money down for that. We were able to raise over $10,000 in a month. And so we put that down. We had the keys. We had 20 days to get it ready for church, but it was already pretty well set up. It was just a matter of taking there was like a corrugated metal in half of the sanctuary. It was a wellness Pentecostal church. They would do spiritual yoga and just some. Anyways, yeah. There's a big Jesus Rocks mural on one, I think it was like teen room, I'm guessing.
So you just left that up, I assume, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We just, But anyways, we had some help there, and I don't know. I'm sorry, I'm just going on and God.
It's amazing how God works out. I mean, all the little stuff. Yes. Because there's a lot of guys that talk about church planning, and I'm not downing. I mean, if God hasn't called you to it, and you don't feel like that God's leading you to it, then by all means, do what God has for you. But I know a lot of folks that talk about it. But man, actually stepping out and doing it, that's where the rubber meets the road. And all those little things that, looking back, you can say, God was good here, and God was good here, and this was neat, and this was awesome. But then, in the moment, you're thinking, what is going on? You have no clue. Absolutely. Yeah. And so God allows you to get in the place, and so it brings you up to the start of the church. And so for you, was there a number in mind of people that you're thinking, this is how many people I'd like to see the very first Sunday? Or was it just kind of, man, if anybody shows up, this will be great? Or what was kind of the thought process there?
It was more the latter, and here's, so again, going back to the preparation that we received at Foundation Baptist Church, we had, I don't know how to say that, because you never want to be, oh, ye of little faith. Sure. But then we also had more realistic expectations because we had been part of a church plan in especially a tough area. Right. Knocking doors down here is easy, and people are friendly compared to up there in the suburbs. I mean, people are cold. They don't have time. And so we came in, honestly, more of what you said, the latter there. We'd just be tickled to death if folks showed up. So no, we didn't really have a number. Sure. I want to say, I'm trying to remember. I want to say we had 30 or 35 from Springfield. We had several out of town people came for different things, like to sing and to, different things. We had well over, I think, 50 in actual attendance. I want to say we had 30 from Springfield. And then we're just off and running. And then all of a sudden, I remember just like that Monday morning waking up being like, I'm a pastor. Like, okay.
Sure.
Here we go. Things just changed. Right. I can't pass the buck to Jeremy Houston now. I love doing that. Right. Oh, I can't tell you how many times I was like, oh, yeah, no, I don't have an answer for that. You're going to have to go see pastor. I can't do that anymore now. Right. That's one of the things I miss the most.
Right.
But
so did you in preparation for the church plant, and just talking, practical, the nuts and bolts of it, Were you bivocational? Did you have the bus route, driving the school bus, all through that time period, or what was the time period, the timeline there?
Yeah. Excellent question. So, no, we were able to focus on the church. I did not start working a second job until February.
Okay.
So I was able to focus on the people. I had so many follow-up visits because we had not just the people that came, we had 24 churches, 200 something different people knock doors for us. We had 12, I think we knocked 12,000 something doors. And so we had all these prospects. I remember I had like over 100 prospects on this list, you know? And so it was good that I had that time to, just to focus on that. Honestly, it was when, you know, all that we had saved dwindled. And,
Sure.
You know, again, we'd raised about 60% of our support. You know, I don't remember if my hope and dream was that the church would actually be able to start paying us by the time I'd have to go to work. No, it was just, to me, it was just a blessing that the church started. We did have givers come right away, and the church was able to start paying its own bills right away.
Amen.
And actually, fantastically, the church has since our beginning, we put our own money into it before our first Sunday, but from the first Sunday on, the church has paid its own bills. I started working about 5 or 6 months later. A guy in my church, I'd mentioned that, you know, I might need to start going to work. A guy in my church texted me just like an ad in the paper for a school bus driver. I went and applied, and it's been the best bivocational job I think a pastor can have.
Sure.
I've mentioned this to other people. I get paid to sit and wait at wherever I want for an hour and a half, and wait for them to get done with their class, and then bring them back to their high school. And that's a lot of my study and reading time. It usually at a coffee shop or at a McDonald's. And so, but you know, and other things have come up. I mean, I've had other jobs of, you know, drive Uber and Lyft, and even deliver pizzas for Domino's. Just different things that I've had to do, because eventually, you know, support dwindled. The church is paying us now, though, and has been for, I think they started paying us sometime after our first year.
Amen.
And it's gradually increased. It has increased recently. I don't know that it will soon, but then I don't know what God's going to do. So we'll see how that goes.
Sure. Now,
anyway,
I'm trying to think of the question I just had in my mind. It was
probably a really, really good one.
It was. I'm scratching my brain here. I'm trying to think of what I was about to ask you. This does not happen very often. You're just such a captivating, awe-inspiring figure. Okay. It just completely escaped me. Give me 1 second to backtrack to where it was at. My mind frame. I've already eaten dinner, so it's not me being hungry. It's just me losing my train of thought here.
Coffee, my friend.
You know, I don't drink coffee, actually. So maybe there's some validity to that. I don't drink coffee. In the ministry for going on 5 years.
Being nervous, and you don't drink coffee.
Tea?
No,
I get into I'm not really a tea guy. I to act like I would be to act like I'm more sophisticated than I really am. You know, I could be like a Picard, you know, Earl Grey or whatever. But that's just not.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. I'm a water. Just a splash of water.
Yeah, good for you, man. That's why you're healthy. That's why you're like, 20, 30 pounds, probably 40 pounds lighter than me. So well done.
I don't know. But I think maybe we should. That's definitely not the question I was going to ask. So I'm trying to think.
It wasn't about my. All right.
No. So exactly. So how has the weight gain coincided with the church ministry?
With the church ministry? Well,
how often do you preach on gluttony, sir? Would you tell us that? Anyway.
Never.
Yeah. Right.
No, I preach on all the other things that I don't commit.
Exactly.
Yeah. Which isn't a long list, by the way. I run out of sins.
I remembered what it was. Support. How many churches told you we're going to support you for this long, or for a year, 2 years, and or how many of them kind of left it open ended? And so question now is, compared to 100%, what percentage are you at now? So kind of two questions there.
Great question. I would say half of the churches gave me a time frame that they would support me, and that's a blessing. That helps you to prepare. That helps you to plan. Sure. And then the other half, maybe okay. I should be honest and say a third. And then so we're down to about maybe half of the churches we started with that started with us still support us. We're down to about, well, if I had to do the numbers, so we started right around 60% of what we need. I would say it's down to about 20 to 25% of what we need. So, and I would say, some of the churches told us how long they would support us. Some of the churches I think they had it in mind how long they would. And then some churches just keep supporting us, and that's a blessing, so, and we'll see, we are grateful. We're so thankful for, well, I'll tell you one thing. How do I say this? It took us a while. It took us a long time to feel, I don't know that we ever felt worthy of being missionaries, or especially being at missions conferences. Heather would tell you even more than I, how we just, we'd be at a missions conference with a family going to, I remember one going to South Sudan and planning to live in a container. And, we're at the mission, we're planning on moving 3 hours away. And so I remember that, and just kind of having to get used to that, get over that. Some of that's just pride, maybe my own pride, I guess, that going and asking. It was a different thing. I don't know how to say this, but it was a different feeling, a different responsibility, being going from being paid secularly to receiving money from churches. I remember that feeling of I don't deserve this. I'm not worthy of this. Almost feeling uncomfortable. But again, I guess that's just my pride, But now I take whatever they give me. So no, I'm just kidding. But I probably shouldn't have said that. But it's a humbling thing, and we're really appreciative. So many churches, and it's not just the support. I would encourage any church planner to go on deputation, even if you don't get a single church behind you financially. You will get churches praying for you, get people praying for you. You will get, we have now a network of pastors and pastors' wives that just text us and say, hey, praying for you, because, they don't know that, we're kind of down because it was a snow day and only a dozen people showed up. And so it's like, man, this is, and then you just get a text saying, hey, I'm praying for you. Hope you had a good Sunday. And so that's a blessing. And then there's the aspect of how many churches came and knocked doors for us and did so much more work than we could have done on our own. I mean, I counted it was 680 something. I'm a numbers guy. It was 680 something man hours that were spent by other people from other churches knocking doors for our church. That's a blessing. That's amazing. And that was one of the things that we asked for. Asked people to help us with while on deputation. And then lastly, just the stuff, the things. Our church building is mostly furnished with things that were given to us. One of the biggest blessings, Mikey, you haven't got to come here yet, but if you ever do, and I hope you do sometime, I love to walk people through our auditorium and point to everything. Nearly all of it was given to us by churches or by people. Burdened to help us. Our chairs, our church chairs, our junior church chairs, our baptismal tank, the pulpit, the piano, the drum set, the sound system, the everything. It's all given to us, and pew box. just amazing. It's just neat to see. We're undeserving and thankful for all the churches that have helped us and blessed us as they have. Sorry, I think I got too quiet there.
No. I was going to say, one of the great things about doing this live is being able to interact with people in the comments and things like that. And I'm guessing, and so I think Jeremy Houston was watching along here. I can pull up on mine. He was saying that's true. He said something that's true. I'm guessing he was responding to you saying you passed the buck to him a lot. And so I'm guessing that's what that comment was about.
Probably when I said that I learned everything that I know from him. That is probably that one.
Maybe so. He also said that's my problem, that coffee is a great gift from God, and saying that I need to get on board with that. But I'm hoping if somebody wouldn't mind commenting, he was joking about the drum set, just so the people watching later will know. Because I'm sure
I'm losing support as we speak. By the way, I did want to. I'll put a shot. I don't know if you can.
Yeah.
This is the. There's our church logo, and we give these dollar visitors. That's one of the coolest things too, is to go and visit people and see the Capital Baptist Church mug. They're drinking coffee from it. I'm like, that's awesome. So,
that's very cool. Very cool. So I had some questions that I mentioned to you that I might get into.
Yes,
so I've got to ask.
Good question.
I don't know if you're a reader or if you enjoy. I don't know if you can read at all, Brother Montgomery. But if you can, what is the book or books that maybe you've either given as a gift, and why, or what are 1 to 3 books that have greatly influenced your life? And I'm assuming the correct answer, obviously, is the Bible. But so besides the Bible, what besides the Bible, what would be some other books that have greatly influenced you?
Well, to answer your first question, I'm not the reader that I should be, and it's not that I don't want to. It's a time thing for me.
Sure.
Because every time I get into a book, there's been very few that I'm like, well, that was a waste of my time. I'm always learning things. Ones that I gift most. Well, I haven't gifted too many, but I can think of 2.
Okay.
One would be Schizophrenic by Pastor Tom Brennan in Chicago. That book helped me. It helped me to understand, especially why I'm independent, fundamental Baptist. And some of the things to be careful of, to be wary of, to guard against, I guess, cropping up in my church, in my life, in my heart, pride issues and things like that. Very good book, very helpful book. I've given that to several people. And then I don't want to lose people on this, because I give this book with the most disclaimers ever, because the guy uses like 5 or 6 different Bible versions, and I hate that, Micah.
Sure.
It's almost like you just search through all the different versions and say, yeah, that fits best what I want to say. I don't understand. I don't get that.
Right.
But as far as using Bible principles on marriage, because again, so as a pastor, I've had the need most to marriage counseling. I wasn't ready for that. So I needed to give that one out in both, and so that would be Love and Respect. Egerix, I think, is the name. Again, huge disclaimers all over, different things like that, but it's Bible principle, that, love and respect. So, that answered your questions. I probably got myself in trouble with both of those. 1 to 3 books. I thought I had some. I think the best thing to tell you is what I'm reading now. I'm a slow reader, and I don't even retain what I read very well. I'm currently in the middle of 3 books. The Pursuit of God, A.W. Tozer, excellent. Almost to just deep and rich for me. I don't feel, I wouldn't probably have been worthy to be in the same room as he, and the way he knew how to get a hold of God. I'm reading a book called Either One Race or One Blood by Ken Ham, which is a really good really good book about, races and different things, kind of a scientific and biblical. And then I'm also in the middle of the Lincoln murder conspiracies, which has been good. I live in the land of Lincoln. Everything about here is Abraham Lincoln. You could say Abraham Lincoln built Springfield. He was one of the leaders in petitioning Illinois to move the capital to Springfield. And he's a big deal here. And if you ever come by, I'd love to take you to the library about Lincoln. I'm getting to study Lincoln, more and more. And he's a controversial character. It's all over the map with him on, some things he was the first communist, and some he's a hero, and anything in between. This book kind of dispels. It's kind of more one, and I'm a big conspiracy theory guy. I love to get into one, but this one actually kind of dispels them. Any deeper conspiracies is just John Wilkes Booth and his buddies wanted to kill the president. So, and it's been good. But yeah, that's it.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. And jumping back into the church planning a little bit, what kind of laid on your heart that thought of church planning as an option for you? What was it, being a part of Foundation Baptist with Jeremy Houston and seeing it done, or where did that kind of heart for church planning come from?
It was more that seeing it done. I can tell you, okay, so the Lord called me to preach at 16. It was actually, that's a long story. Wrestled with God about it for a little bit. But then I felt led to probably youth pastor and then pastor at some point. When I was in Bible college, my advice to anybody's watching that's in Bible college right now, especially if you're called to preach, is to pay attention, learn everywhere you're at, every stage that you're at. I wish now that I had listened to my own pastor more. If there's any pastor in the world that I want to emulate, it's Pastor Terry Angel. And yet, I miss so much because you're just a kid and you don't really think about it. And the same thing in college. I just wanted to have fun, mess around, enjoy bus route, different things, but so much I wish I'd learned. I did not see myself starting a church when I was in Bible college. I remember taking How to Start a New Testament Church with Brother Keith Harrison. He was starting one in Aurora at the time, and I remember that being a cool concept, but I didn't really think as I was taking that class that I would ever do that. And even after going to Foundation, I guess that's when the Lord started putting it on my heart, but definitely just Springfield. When we came, we came and visited here, and we really, God just put a burden on our hearts for this city. And then, church planning, and we do feel called to be here. I don't feel in any ways led to go start a church anywhere else, or I don't think that was good English, anywhere else. See, I don't read. That's why I don't have good English. But I hope that answers your question there.
Absolutely. And obviously God can use a lot of different mediums to move on us. Mine eye affected my heart and all those things, and seeing it done, I'm sure was definitely as you mentioned, a big part of it. What is you mentioned some advice that you give to maybe a young, driven Bible college student? What are some, and actually before we get into that, what was the time frame of you graduating Bible college and meeting your wife, getting married? I was foggy on the time frame in between there, and then actually
I'm foggy on the time frame, so you're good. So 2004 I went to college. 2008 graduated. We started dating at the end of 2008. We were married in May 2010. So I was technically at Northwest for about 6 years. Northwest Bible Baptist Church up there.
Okay, and so that's actually exactly what I want to get into for a second. Is being so you were basically out of college for 2 years before you even went to Foundation, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes,
okay.
Sir.
So
that was because.
No, go ahead. Answer. Expound on that for a second.
Sure. I graduated single. I did not. I did not feel in any ways prepared to get in the ministry, a single. So I hate to put it this way, but I figured that was a good place to be, to find potentially the girl God had for me. And so I just stayed around.
Sure.
And Heather and I started dating.
Yeah, sure. And that's exactly what I wanted to get into. I'm curious because I see in a lot of circumstances that people so say by themselves, and I can only take their word for it. They're called to ministry. And so I guess I ask that first. Did you feel going to Bible college that you knew as much as God allows you to, that ministry was in your future? Did you know? I'm getting somewhere with a lot of questioning. I'm not badgering the witness. I apologize. But did you know that?
No. Yes, sir. So I surrendered to preach at 16. Okay. And that changed my, kind of the trajectory of my life. That's actually why I went to Providence. My pastor taught there, and I figured this is a good place to learn how to preach, how to be a pastor. And so,
absolutely,
yes, sir. So I did go with that, but not the church planning, I didn't see that as a realm of possibility really until we went to Foundation, and God kind of just opened my eyes and my heart to it. That was a blessing. That was so good for Heather and I both, because she grew up in Northwest, which is a larger church than I grew up in, which is a larger church, much larger church than our church, by the 10 to 20 times the size. And so for us to go to a smaller a baby church was just so good for us. It was just new, and it was, truth of the matter is, more reality. It was more how most churches, and what do they? I forget the statistics, but I think a church of 200 or 250 is like the top 2% in America. And so 98%, 98, here I am, I'm throwing out statistics. What do they say about statistics?
And you're exactly right. And
70% of statistics are lie.
Right. So I think where I was going with that was, I see so many times college students say that they're called to ministry, and absolutely that's fantastic. Graduate from Bible college, and maybe God doesn't open a door just straight off the bat for a multitude of reasons. Maybe they don't feel, maybe they are single and they don't feel comfortable jumping in. But whatever the reason is, they just don't get a call from a pastor. Again, whatever the reason is, and it seems they never end up going into ministry. We're talking, and I'm not even talking. I could care less whether they stick around the college, whether they go back to the home church, whatever the case may be. But they say they're called to ministry and don't end up. And I'm not bashing anyone. My question for you is, what's the difference in your mind between you and many others? And I'm sure you can think of many in your mind. And I went to Golden State and Providence. It happened both places. So I can only assume either you were lying to yourself and you were never called to ministry, or you thought it was something and you thought it was just this cool thing to do, or you aren't obeying God's will now. And so for you, someone that, you had ample reason not to go into ministry, you had a wise reason, and yet you stuck it out, you did things right, and you stayed in a position to get into ministry a little later on down the road. What was the difference for you, in your opinion? Not to pat yourself on the back, but what was the difference?
Sure. Jeremy Houston, actually, he covered very well. I only got to watch a couple of your interviews so far. I'm not on social media. I don't do this much. I was going to get into, you're one of those, and I'm not bashing this. We don't bash people on Micah McCurry Live, but you are one of the Marty N. I'm quite bashable.
You're bashful. But Marty and Heather.
Yes, yeah, I need to have a Facebook divorce. Yeah,
there's some that's like a thing. There's some people that do that, and we can get to that later. But I'm sure I'll cause a furor over that. But anyway,
table that. We'll put
back to the spiritual questions.
Yes, sir. Okay. Well, no, I'm trying to rethink of what the spiritual question was. See, you get me off on carnal stuff, and I'll chase that.
You're fine. What got you into ministry 6 years or so down the road?
Yeah. So some young men, maybe they weren't called, and if that's the realization that they come to, I guess that's kind of from our standpoint maybe disappointing. But then Spurgeon said, if you can do anything else, by all means do it. Meaning, if you say you're called to preach, well, if you're fine and comfortable and there's nothing in you that says this isn't right, I got to go do something, then yeah, maybe you're not. Maybe you shouldn't. Yeah, stay out of it. But that, again, that's not for me to judge, I guess. I would suppose maybe some just kind of get complacent. I think it's maybe easy to do for me. Okay, so, well, be careful. I don't, okay, I can say it this way. There was an opportunity that came up right around the time we got married that I didn't feel led to for one reason or another, didn't feel it was the Lord's will. And so we just got married and stayed there at Northwest for a few months. And I did just feel in me the desire to just to go do something, to go somewhere that I could learn and that I could be in, do more, be more involved than I was, even if it wasn't, there wasn't a paycheck coming with it. And I had already been, I'd been meeting with Brother Jeremy once a week, every other week, maybe, going up and knocking doors with him up there, just because I had a burden, not, but just, I wanted to help, here's this, he was out, he was there, and he was doing something for the Lord, and it was just 25 minutes away from me. And I could see his burden. I could see his, we could do more there than we were doing where we were at. And so we started praying about it. And the Lord said, go. You don't even have to move. You can go. And so we did. He had me leading singing the first Sunday. It was just, I said, hey, we're gonna come up there this Sunday, and he's like, all right, I'll have you lead singing and stuff. I'm like, hey, but just wait. And that was just neat. I've told people this, and maybe it doesn't make sense, but I felt being able to be involved there and what he allowed me to do, how I was able to cut my teeth in preaching. He let me preach at least once a month. And just other things, the teen Sunday school class and getting to take them on activities and stuff, doing things. And I felt like, and I've told people this, I felt like it's the only time in my life that I could have my cake and eat it too. I was not taking a dime from a church, yet I was involved. I felt like it, and so yeah, I don't know how else to say that. And we were. Yeah,
it brings to mind a great, and I think you answered the question very well and very tactfully as well, because you're right. There's a lot of guys that I guess we can assume that maybe they just weren't called to ministry, and people can get they can confuse themselves very easy. I do it all the time, so I know exactly what it's like. But what you said there at the end brings to mind a quote. I'm not sure who said. I'm sure many people have said variations of it, but the point is, if you wouldn't do what you're doing right now, if you weren't being paid, are you really doing what you should be doing? If you didn't get a single paycheck for the job that you have, now I understand you need to support your family, and there's practical things and being pragmatic. I understand that, but at least for those in the ministry, if you go work at 7-Eleven and that's what God has you to do, and it's not your favorite thing in the world right now, then maybe just keep doing it while the money's coming in. But if you're in the ministry and and there's ever a thought that, this is a paycheck to me, then you might just be in the wrong line of work. And we all go through seasons and bouts of less than, spirituality. Yeah. But like you said, you did what God had you to do. You weren't making a dime for it. And so, but it's a convicting thought for me, if there was no paycheck, this week, would I still be called to preach, or would I say, maybe God has something else for me, because he didn't call me to money, he called me to ministry. But
Right.
I like the way you put that, and it's just been so. I appreciate the fact that you're a man and you have a family that God allows you to take a little, that you call it hiatus, but it wasn't even, because you jumped in immediately, and you were, and it brings me to it. I know I'm expositing here for a second, but I've heard it said recently by even some of the secular world that one of the absolute best ways to break into an industry is to be willing to work for free. Because, and people say, like for photographers and whatever, but you need to show people what you're worth. You should never work for free.
Be willing.
That's all well and good, except when nobody's hiring you. So if you're not working, you might as well go get some experience. Go get some for a photographer. Go actually have some word of mouth traffic. Get some foot traffic through the door, and put a sign up that says free photography. Get something going. But as far as church ministry goes, the money shouldn't matter in the least. And a lot of times, I know for me, I have the privilege of being on staff as assistant pastor with a full-time paycheck, and that's a huge blessing.
Right.
But the thought for me is, if that dried up tomorrow, would my
calling? And you
change?
need that, Micah. There's no way you could do what you're called on to do and work an extra job. And I don't want anybody to misunderstand me on that.
Sure.
The laborer is worthy of their hire. And it will be the best thing in the world for Capital Baptist Church when they can pay their pastor. This is how I put it. This is how I put it in business meetings. This is how I'll even say it from the pulpit. If I get hit by a bus tomorrow, Capital Baptist Church is not about me, and it doesn't end because of me, because I end, or because I die, or because I have to go. You need to bring in a pastor, and and they're gonna need to be paid, and so that's my motivation for the church. I do try to, and what I do with that, I'll just be honest with you. I try to keep. Another good book. Throw this out there. Money Matters in the Church was a blessing to me. Just a lot of good principles about good percentages of budgets and funds and different things, and so I try to kind of keep, I don't want 85% of the churches, of the offerings to go to, the pastor. Try to keep it, it recommends around, 50, 55% of the income should go to the payroll and different. I got off topic.
Fine.
So the laborers worthy of their hire. I wish I didn't have to work as much. It's wearing me out. If you want, I've heard the buzzword, what is it? Transparency, or what's the other word?
Authenticity.
Authenticity. Yes. Authenticity. Yep. I'm getting more out. And so I do hope that, we can get to a place where I can work less and do more for the Lord. I'm focusing more now on time off and trying to take a day, or as close to a Sabbath as I can, 24 hours of rest per week. And because I got close to a breaking point, and I think it was more physical and emotional than anything else. And there you go. That's as authentic as I want to get. I'm done. So back to the new.
Sure.
No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, that's but all that to say, guys, if you're called, go do something, find something to do. Even if it's, look, I don't know God's will for your life, but there are so many. Get a phone book. Well, you don't get phone books anymore. Google, and you're going to find all kinds of good Baptist churches that need somebody with your training, that need somebody with your heart and your desire. God knows where you're at. If you're a God-called man of God, he knows where you're at, okay? And if his purpose is for you to pastor a church in Fargo, North Dakota, and you say, well, Fargo's not calling me, so but there's this church over here that needs some help. Go and do what God has called you to do there. Start something there. Build something there. Be a witness. Be a laborer there. God knows where you're at. He'll get you. If that's not the there he wants you, he'll get you where he wants you to go.
Absolutely.
And that's all the preaching I'll do tonight. I'm done. Let's get to these let's get to these carnal questions you had. Come on, man.
Well, I think you mentioned
killing me with this.
You had a question.
I feel like I'm.
You swing it back my direction. You had a question for me. I think that you.
Oh yeah, I do. Okay, so extreme activities. Okay, what would you is there something that you have wanted to do that would be in an extreme activity category, or is there something you'd say absolutely not? Skydiving comes at the top of my list.
That you would absolutely not do?
No. See, and here's the thing. I have an incredible fear of heights.
Okay.
But I still feel like it's like a one-time thing that I could get through it and I could say I did it and never do it again. I did that in parasailing recently. When parasailing, oh man, but I got through it and I did it. I'll never do it again, but it's been done. And I also thought of maybe like a running of the bulls. Would you do something like that?
So I feel like just knowing, I mean, I'm not a big math guy by any stretch. The amount of people that die skydiving with good instructors. Right. And my dad jumped out of 5 perfectly good airplanes, got his jump wings in the military.
That's right.
And so I don't think I'd have any problem with it. I want to say I would enjoy it. I think never done it, though I would be more than willing to.
You do? Well, let's go.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm all for it. I think I would be very interested in getting into like wingsuits and things. I don't know if I could get into like flying.
You mean like wingsuits? Yeah, like hang glider type stuff.
Well, no, like the ones where you wear this, flight suit thing where it's like a flying squirrel material in between your legs and from your arms to your body. And so, like some of those extreme guys that they do it where they're flying along beside cliffs and all they have is, it's craziness. So I don't know if I get that extreme with it. I would love to have the strength, the physical strength. Most rock climbers would not be my size, but the strength to get into rock climbing.
I couldn't do. There's no way I could do that.
But there's this documentary called Free Solo. Free solo basically means free means no ropes, and solo obviously. Basically, there's nobody there to catch you. Nothing there to catch you. And so this guy climbed. I want to say it was like 3,000 feet. It looks like a sheer rock face from the bottom. And obviously he's like a world-class expert. But anyway, I would love to have the ability, the physical endurance and ability to do that. I don't know that that's going to be ever in my future. Holding up 200
I could not do that.
Pounds by these little fingers. Would not be easy.
I can do that.
No. But no, jumping airplanes. What was the other ones you mentioned earlier?
Well, I think the definition of an extreme sport or activity is that percentage chance of death.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So, right? Isn't that what would make something an extreme?
I would guess. I would guess so.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought of maybe dog sled racing, because there's that chance of, maybe that's just the movies glorify it, but you could freeze to death.
Yeah, I think it's mostly
doing it up in
sleeping with smelly dogs. That's the premise of that, and being cold.
Yeah.
But I mean, then you have mountain climbing like Everest or something like that. That would be that'd be similar.
That would fit in that category. That would be an extreme.
What I hear, you walk by and there are bodies that are left up there. People
Yeah.
died on the way
Yeah.
up Everest, and because the cost
Kind of
and all
like,
that stuff, they're
kind of
left.
like, kind of like Indiana Jones and all the people, you know, the skeletons that died trying to find the whatever it is he's
Exactly.
going
So
after.
we are definitely deep into the carnal side of things
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
We've flipped
I
that
just
coin
brought up,
completely.
I just referenced a movie. It's probably the first time in 20 something interviews that that's happened because, you know, guys have enough sense to not
No,
to do
let's
that.
see. Maybe it's just an Illinois thing because we got into Mary Poppins with Mick Hall, and so yeah.
Well, see, yeah, but Mary Poppins, I mean, that's, but it depends on how you look at it. I mean,
you have
how
three
bad is
girls.
magic? I mean,
I have
come
two
on.
girls, and so I think it just
Yes,
comes to the territory.
I've seen.
Yeah,
Yes,
basically, I'm just a good
yes,
dad. Is basically what that comes down
yes.
to.
Right there, you go. And I think
Speaking
that's
of
scriptural.
speaking of extreme sports, raising girls. That's I mean
Yes,
that's not as
yes,
extreme as it gets.
yes.
How old are yours?
5, 3, and 5 months.
Man, so you're a couple of years
Yes,
down the road from me, and it remains to be seen,
yes,
you know,
sir.
how many God will give us. But we have a almost 2-year-old and a almost 4-month-old, 3.5-month-old,
Oh
and
wow,
so yeah, we're
she's not
enjoying.
much.
Yeah,
Wow,
we're enjoying
that's awesome, man.
that life. It's a lot of
It's
fun.
a blessing. I
Yeah,
love, you know, if you know, I don't. Well, I love all my girls. I wouldn't, you know, yeah. I don't know if I know how to what to do with the boy now. I mean, I just I love him, and you know, we do so many guy things. You know, it's whatever. But
right.
anyways, what else? Is there anything else? I'm done with questions. That was it, man.
You're
You
good.
know, you thought of all the spiritual questions, and
It's so one of the
you know,
last questions I always ask
sure,
is, and we got
yeah,
into some things, but is there anything that you just
yeah,
need to get off your
that's good.
chest? Well, as we're talking to, as you mentioned, the world, you said earlier, but it can be carnal, it can be spiritual. Is there anything at all you just need to, you know, just let loose? It's been, you know, pent up inside you, and you just need to let it go.
Maybe I haven't gotten far enough, and I thought I finished a couple interviews. I hadn't heard that one asked. No, man, I'm not a no. No, I've got nothing to vent about. I was kind of scared you would ask me. By the way, your interview with Nick White, I don't know him from Adam, but that was awesome. It
Mm-hmm.
was so neat to meet a guy at
That's number
24 that's
23 for
going.
those that are listening. Episode number 23.
Yeah, yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
I enjoyed
Check
that one a
that
lot.
out. Oh man, and he's starting a church in Boston, and he's got the courage and the faith in God to do that. That's all. That was good. I think you asked him what he was passionate about. I told my wife, I was like, man, I'm scared he's going to ask me that because I don't know that I don't know how to have a good answer for you. And so to vent something to vent, no, because I'm just not. I'm kind of more of a guy that I'll do just about anything casually. You know, and I guess I am passionate about ministry. I was talking with my wife about this. I guess I'll just close with well, no, it sounds kind of weird to say, but I do enjoy spending time with people, and so I've really enjoyed this. And so then you ask, okay, well then why aren't you on? You know, well we never got back to the Marty and Heather Montgomery thing.
So
You know, why aren't you?
let's close with that,
Why
and
aren't
let's
you?
offend all the people, my brother-in-law,
Yeah,
and sister-in-law,
let's
and
do
a
it.
bunch of other people that have that conjoined Siamese
Yes,
Facebook thing.
yes,
And it's here's a couple things, and I'm not. This is not like a you know a stand-up comedian shtick on this. This is not you know my bit, but there's some
right.
things that are interesting to me. You know, for people I don't know well that I'm friends with on Facebook. I mean, they're Facebook friends. They're not, you know, just really tight knit people. And to be honest with you, I'm horrible about birthdays anyway. All that to say, when it's Marty and Heather Montgomery's birthday,
Right.
I have
And
no
the
idea whose
birthday
birthday it
thing
is.
stuff. You
Happy
don't know who it is. Oh,
birthday, one of you, 50-50. So that's one of those things.
you.
Right.
Happy birthday, you.
You exactly. So
So
that's one of those
yes,
things.
agreed.
And then you never know who's commenting on
Yes.
things. And
Well,
so maybe like when you're sharing like your Pinterest page or something, I'm like, ooh, Marty, that's cool.
I can make it easy for the 3 people that are still with us tonight. And only because it's me, you had, 6K with Joe Brown, and no, and you'll have 100K with Jack Hiles tomorrow. But, where was I going with that? Man, I lose my train. It's late. I lost my train of thought.
The 2 Facebook
horrible
things, having 2.
Okay. Okay. So nothing's coming from me. Okay. So she put my name on it because, so she was Heather Montgomery. I never had Facebook. And then we got married. So she's like, well, I'm putting Marty and Heather now. And I'm like, well, I don't want to do that. She's, but I'm going to put I was like, okay, that's fine.
So you put your foot down as a man and said, okay.
No, you're right. No, I went with the happy wife, happy life thing, You're
a wise man.
But, no, so I said, okay, fine, that's fine. And, but yeah, no, nothing's coming from me. I've not on Pinterest or Instagram, or I tried Twitter. Jeremy Houston and some guys at church there tried to get me in Twitter. I did it for like a month. And, I don't know. I don't know. I probably should, a good pastor would, right? It's a way to connect with people. I have absolutely nothing against it. It's a wonderful medium. This is great. This is great that you do this. It's just, I like spending time just with people, like one-on-one. And that's why this is really cool. I was really nervous about this, Micah. I almost told you no, just because this isn't really my thing, but I kept saying, I watched your interviews and I was like, oh man, this is just like you're just sitting and talking with the guy. I can do this. And so that's why.
Here you are. You did it. I was sensing when I text
I want to do it again.
Hey,
what are you doing tomorrow? I mean,
awesome. I have Jack Hiles tomorrow.
Oh, you have Jack Hiles, right?
So
okay. You probably can't squeeze me in. I got you.
You've been bumped, so I apologize.
Yeah. I got you.
But you did. I was sensing a little bit of hesitation, some trepidation when I texted you, but I appreciate you making it happen.
Fear might have been I appreciate you, saying some nice words, but fear,
No, in all seriousness,
it's been great though. Yeah.
Anybody that has that uses less social media has more I won't say more respect, but I think it's great because there's a lot. I mean, it can very much, and I know this from personal experience, it can be addicting. It can be something that you're constantly checking, you're constantly on, that you tie. And I wouldn't say that this is one of my struggles, but there's a lot of people that they tie a lot of their self-esteem to their social media and how many likes in my picture.
Sure.
I really care less. Besides for this, the Facebook algorithm and all that stuff. So all of you that are just sitting there and not hitting a like, let me tell you, I could care less. But you're really messing me up with Facebook's algorithm. And so go ahead.
If we end up with like 3 if we only end up with like 3 likes, I might get suicidal. I'm just gonna.
So if you would help us out,
it's gonna be like, I put myself out there, guys. Why can't you like me? So,
wait, this is Brother Marty's first time.
I just got passionate.
Right, he put his and I literally just saw
chest.
Jeremy Houston literally just hit like just now. So thank you for finally all Jeremy, of you. I appreciate it. But I'm gonna need about like 4,500 more before we feel like we're good. That we're productive members of society.
Yeah, right.
And so feel free to keep hitting those likes. That'll help us out. And in all seriousness, I'm going to read you a text right now for those that are listening right now. A reason to seriously hit share on this post, and not for my sake or anything like that. I got a text from Pastor Joe Brown, who I did an interview with on Tuesday, and he texted me today around noon. He said, just received this message this morning. I don't know if it was by text or email. He said, good afternoon, preacher. This is someone talking to Joe Brown. Good afternoon, preacher. I listened to your video with Brother McCurry, and it was awesome. What you said about song leading and how we should beg God to fill us, even just for song leading. Also, what you said about the good flesh and the bad flesh. If you missed that part, that was really good stuff. Those are two things I really needed, this person said. And I wanted to be the person to tell you that you really helped people on that video, and especially including me. It's a younger guy. It sounds like maybe a teenager. He said, I'm the new song leader and choir director at this Baptist church, and I love it. And now I've learned that before every service, I need to beg God for his help. And this is all stuff we talked about with Brother Brown, because I want him to fill me when I'm doing his work. Also, and he asked Brother Brown if he'd be willing to help him with song leading a little bit and things like that, because he's just filling this new role. Sounds like he's a young guy. And but for me, I was like, anytime someone reaches out in any way and says, I've gotten a few, Instagram messages and texts and things, and people that I have no idea who they are, just saying, that was a blessing, or they hear about it because someone they know was on. But this guy, I don't even think Brother Brown knew who this guy was. I don't know how he got a hold of him.
Oh, wow.
And I mean, maybe he did. I'm not sure. But I was taken aback. I was like, that was awesome. And one of those, 600 something views on Facebook was this young man. And he was fired up. And that was awesome. I get fired up about it. And I've said, to keep my streak of 27 going, I've said this on probably every episode, that I don't care if the viewer count's at 0. And it's not right now, which I appreciate for those that are watching. But it doesn't much matter. And so, but for the people that are listening, viewing at home, if it helps one of you, that's a huge blessing. So all that to say, you're really going to down Brother Marty if you don't hit like, if you don't share this thing, because if Brother Brown has like 600 something views, and this one gets like 60 views or something, like 10%.
I'll go back into hiding.
Exactly. And so help us out.
Don't see me on Facebook anymore.
We'll know if tomorrow it's Heather Montgomery. Just Heather.
If all of a sudden there's an announcement, okay, so Marty Montgomery is hitting Facebook. We had our Facebook divorce, and here I am.
We'll know.
Yeah, you'll know.
Hey, I greatly appreciate the time, and
Mike, I'm honored. I really appreciate it. It's been a blessing to come on with you, and I'm honored, especially among the great men that you have. That you have interviewed, that you would interview me. It does mean the world to me, and I'm not just saying that. I mean that.
Amen.
So thank you.
Well, I appreciate it, and you taking the time. I mean, all these guys, they are guys, and you mentioned, talking about the purpose of this. And I talked to Caleb Reardon about this on episode like 12, I think.
Yeah, I saw
the purpose.
Most of it.
The purpose for this is because one of the thoughts I had was there's a lot of guys I would love to sit down across from the table with and talk to for an hour, or just call on the phone.
Yes.
But since we talked when you were on deputation, we haven't talked on the phone once, except for right now. And that's not downing you. That's not downing me. That's just time. And this gives me an excuse to do it. And so I appreciate you giving me approximately an hour and 7 minutes, going on 8 minutes.
Yeah.
So I should probably give you back to your wife. And so for those of you that are listening,
whatever.
she might mind.
She's got them all to bed. She's on. No, this has been good. And let me say this: I love this. So if you're ever coming by Springfield, let's do it for real.
Absolutely.
And I will make you a coffee drinker, sir. I will. I'll encourage you. I will encourage you to
do your work. And we'll see. Imbibe. All right. I'll try to stay.
It just went off the rails, man. I'm sorry.
Indiana Jones.
Sorry,
alcohol. Here we go.
I know.
This has been
very poppin'. You can blame that on Mick Hall.
Right.
Yeah.
This has been Micah McCurry Live, number 27. Stick around if you would, Brother Marty, if you can. And there are a lot of this new thing that may be in the works, Micah McCurry Eats, where I'm going to visit some people and we'll do it in person at a restaurant. And so we'll see.
Yes.
You can take me to the best place in Springfield, and we'll have a good time.
Yes.
My treat. We'll have a good time with it. But this has been Micah McCurry Live, number 27. Stick around, Brother Marty, if you would. We've got some great guests coming up soon in the near future. Thank you so much for those that are listening. I am doing my best as time allows to get these uploaded to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, Pocket Casts, Google Play, all those places. And so if you listen to podcasts, you can find, I think I have approximately 8 of them uploaded already. Some really good ones at Jay Reed, not so good ones like Spencer Smith, but some good ones on there too. But anyway, you guys have a great night, and we'll talk to you very soon.